What if the most intense love you ever felt was actually a carefully designed trap? Constant attention, endless affection, feeling like the most special person in the world overnight. This is called love bombing, and it is one of the most dangerous manipulation tactics that exists. It looks like love, it feels like love, but it is designed to make you dependent, confused, and unable to leave. Today we expose 7 signs you're being love bombed and how to protect yourself before it's too late. Love bombing was first named by psychologists studying cult behavior because cult leaders used it to recruit members by making them feel uniquely chosen and special. Love bombing is always phase 1 of a predictable 3-phase cycle: idealize, devalue, discard. Understanding phase 1 protects you from the rest. The trap is always hidden inside the gift. By the time you see it, you're already inside. Once you can name what's happening, the spell begins to break. Knowledge is your most powerful protection. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. Everything moves at an impossible speed. I love you within days, talking about moving in within weeks, discussing marriage within a month. Healthy relationships do not move this fast. The intensity is intentional. When everything moves fast, you have no time to think, question, or evaluate what's actually happening. Healthy love gives you space to breathe and think. If someone pressures you to commit faster than feels natural, that pressure itself is the warning sign. Trust your pace, not theirs. Ask yourself honestly, does this feel naturally exciting, or does something feel slightly off? Intensity is not the same as depth. Love bombers create the feeling of deep connection without actually building one. Tell the timeline to a trusted friend who isn't involved. Their outside reaction will show you what you can't see from inside the whirlwind. Deliberately slow the pace. A healthy person will respect that. A love bomber will push back, and that reaction is your answer. When someone becomes angry or withdrawn simply because you asked for a slower pace, that is not love, that is control revealing itself. You are allowed to set the pace of your own relationship. Anyone who refuses to honor that is not offering you love. Sign number 2. The flattery is relentless, extreme, and over the top from day 1. You're perfect. You're unlike anyone they've ever met. You're their soulmate, every day, within days of meeting them. The goal of excessive flattery is not to make you feel good. It's to make you need them. Dependency disguised as devotion. Genuine admiration becomes more specific over time as someone truly knows you. Love bomber flattery is generic because it isn't really about you at all. Ask yourself, do they actually know you, your flaws, your contradictions, your real self? Or are they in love with a version of you they invented? Deliberately share something imperfect about yourself. Real love deepens through honesty. Love bombing cracks when the illusion breaks. Notice if the compliments disappear when you disagree or set a boundary. Genuine admiration doesn't come with conditions. You deserve to be loved as you actually are, not as a projection someone needs you to fit. The most powerful protection against love bombing is genuine self-worth. When you don't need their validation, their flattery loses its grip entirely. Real love makes you feel seen. Love bombing makes you feel dazzled. The difference is whether you can still think clearly. They are always there, every hour, every day, no space, no silence. Good morning texts before you wake up, calls at lunch, good night messages every night. Panic if you don't respond within minutes. Gradually, without realizing, your world shrinks to just them. Friends, hobbies, and independence slowly disappear. That is not love, that is isolation. Protect your time alone, your friendships, and your interests. Anyone who genuinely loves you will support your independence, not resent it. Test. Take 2 hours to reply to a message. A healthy person will be fine. A love bomber will send multiple follow-up messages filled with anxiety or guilt.
There's a difference between enjoyable contact and exhausting contact. If you feel drained, that tells you something important. If someone makes you feel guilty for having friends, hobbies, or time to yourself, they are not trying to love you, they are trying to own you. Communicate your need for space clearly. A healthy partner will understand. A love bomber will react with guilt, anger, or withdrawal. Needing time alone is not a flaw. It is a fundamental human need. Anyone who treats your solitude as a rejection is not a safe person. The fullest protection against love bombing is a full life. When you have many sources of joy and connection, no single person can consume you entirely. Grand promises about the future made within days or weeks of meeting. Marriage talk, life plans, grand gestures of commitment, all before they even know your middle name. The promises never stop coming, but they also never actually happen. They exist to keep you invested, not to be fulfilled. Track what was promised versus what actually happened. Over time, the gap between words and reality becomes impossible to ignore. Judge people by how they treat you today, not by the beautiful future they describe. Actions in the present are the only reliable data. When every legitimate concern you raise gets buried under a grand promise, that promise is not love, it's a redirect. Notice when grand gestures are used to avoid accountability. Paris trips do not fix broken trust. How can someone plan a life with you before they have truly met you? Grand future love for a stranger is performance, not genuine connection. Real futures are built through small, consistent daily choices, not through sweeping declarations made in the first week of knowing someone. Love lives in the present, in how someone treats you today, this week, this moment. That is where truth is found. Sign number 5. Slowly and systematically, they separate you from everyone else in your life. Your friends don't really get you. Your family doesn't support you like I do. Small seeds of doubt planted consistently grow into walls. Isolation is not an accident. An isolated person has no outside reality check, no one to say this isn't normal. That is exactly why it's engineered. Actively maintain your friendships and family connections, not because you need permission, but because they are yours and they matter. Keep your friends informed about your relationship. If the people who love you express concern, take that seriously. They can see what you can't from inside the intensity. If anyone ever gives you that ultimatum, the answer should always be the people who were there before the intensity arrived and will be there if it ends. The strongest protection against isolation is a wide, deep support network. Build it before you need it. Look at your calendar. If every free moment has been filled by one person, your independence is already being quietly consumed. Reclaim time for yourself, your interests, and your relationships outside of this person. That is not disloyalty. That is sanity. Healthy love expands your world. It adds to your life. Anyone who shrinks your world to fit only them is not offering love. They are building a prison. Sign number 6. You start feeling guilty for completely normal, healthy human needs. You apologize for needing sleep, for having work to do, for spending an evening alone, for being a fully human being with needs of your own. Your needs are not burdens. Your needs are not inconveniences. They are fundamental human rights, and anyone who treats them as problems is the problem. Practice stating your needs without apologizing for them. I need time alone tonight. Not, I'm sorry, but maybe if it's okay, could I possibly have a moment? The guilt you feel for having normal human needs is not coming from within you. It was installed there deliberately to make you easier to control. Apply the friend test. If your best friend told you they needed a quiet evening, would you make them feel guilty? Then why do you accept it when someone does it to you? When you notice yourself about to apologize, pause. Ask, did I actually do something wrong, or am I apologizing for simply existing? Reclaiming your right to your own needs may feel terrifying at first because you've been trained to feel guilty for having them. Do it anyway. When your needs are genuinely met, your own needs, by yourself, you become impossible to manipulate through guilt. You owe no one an apology for having needs, taking space, or being fully, completely, unapologetically human.
Sign number 7, and the most shocking one, the switch. The person who showered you with love suddenly becomes cold, critical, or distant overnight. And suddenly, you'll do anything to get back to the love-bombing phase. You chase it, you work for it, you compromise yourself to recover it. That is when the trap closes. The love-bombing was never real. It was bait. The withdrawal is the hook, and the cycle repeats. Love, withdrawal, chase, brief return of love, withdrawal again. Once you recognize the cycle, love, cold, chase, brief return, you cannot unsee it, and that recognition is the beginning of freedom. Stop chasing the person who turned the love off. Their withdrawal is not your failure. It is a test to see how much you will compromise to get their attention back. Write down the cycle as it happens, dates, moods, behaviors. On paper, what felt confusing becomes a clear, undeniable pattern that you cannot rationalize away. Resist the urge to perform, apologize, or work harder when the cold switch happens. Every time you do, you teach them the cycle works. You are allowed to step off the wheel at any point. You do not owe anyone continued participation in a cycle that is designed to diminish you. The confusion you feel after the switch is not weakness. It was engineered. You were made to feel this way on purpose. That is not your fault. Name it, see it, and then, when you are ready, leave it. Not because you failed, but because you finally understand what was actually happening. Now you know all 7 signs of love bombing and how to protect yourself from each one. It moves too fast, excessive flattery, constant contact, grand future promises, isolation, guilt for normal needs, and the sudden switch. Real love does not leave you confused, anxious, or constantly walking on eggshells. Real love makes you feel safe, calm, and fully yourself. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe and hit the bell. We drop new psychology content every single week. This is the Mind Sync. You deserve love that is calm, consistent, and real. See you in the next one.